I'll tell you when we're live. It's setting it up right now, and then we'll go for it. Hey, we can do this anytime, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, so we are, I think so. All right, it looks like we are live. Let me just click over here. Hey, so we're live in the wrestling room, big guy. So how are you? How you doing? Thanks for coming on. Man, I really appreciate this. This is super cool. So I know you were looking forward to the Olympic trials, kind of got delayed. I know you've been working hard. Obviously, Son in Christ. I know you're very faith-based, which is awesome. And I mean, first off, how you doing? How you feeling?
Pretty relaxed, honestly. Like there's things that we can control and we can't control, and right now with how bad the virus is, it made a lot of sense to keep everyone away from each other. So right now, just trying to take it day by day, focus on the things I can do to improve myself and just try to reach others. I'm grateful I get a chance to talk to some of your guys from the team and just be able to share some thoughts.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I guess it just gives you an opportunity to get in better shape, huh?
Yeah. Biggest thing I've been focusing on, not only just with the conditioning, the strength and whatnot, is just the mental approach to the wrestling, to how to look at the sport from a standpoint of visualization, self-talk, and video review. Just putting more emphasis on that, I think, than I was when I was younger. And so this gives me a lot of opportunities to really mold my mindset around things, because I think the sport of wrestling, people really get overlooked kind of the mental side of it. When you jump levels, I think that's the biggest thing that is the key to it.
Yeah, you'd say a lot of people, I'm sure when you get to a certain level, the difference in the skill is probably small. So the mental aspect of it comes in, I guess, is basically what you would say.
Exactly. Like at the top, you're kind of splitting hairs with some of the best guys because you're all really strong, you're all good shape, quickness, and then you have moves that work well for you. So then it's just being able to approach the sport and give everything you have at the moment, and just knowing the positions that you need to be in to win the match, and just visualizing those and visualizing uh just what it looks like and the self-talk beforehand, because you can do so much training, but if you're not prepared for the moment, or you're freaking out, you're nervous, then you're not going to perform the way you want to. So it's like getting the most out of the performance, I think, requires the same kind of physical training as mental training each day. Just visualizing yourself being in that arena, competing against one of your competitors or anyone that, and just visualizing you go through the moves that you're doing like you would in a wrestling practice.
Yeah, wow. So obviously a lot of kids are not at their clubs right now. They're not in their wrestling rooms. They're in the off season, which is usually that's where you get better. So to the kids that are at home and still wanting to improve, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so I think one is formalizing a strength program that fits your needs. For me, when I was in high school, I wanted to put on some mass. So in between my sophomore and junior year, same thing, junior, senior year, I was able to do about 4 days of lifting during the week. And I had a good structure from trainers and coaches around the area. And I kind of formulated my own strength training program that kind of hit every muscle, but also gave me enough rest where I wasn't overtraining during the summer. But I think 3 to 4 days, if you're trying to put on mass, is important during the off season. And then as far as conditioning goes, I would recommend three good days of conditioning base, one longer conditioning based one that's like a steady pace around 45 minutes, one that's a shorter hard working pace that's about 10 to 15 minutes, whether it's a 2 mile all out run or 10 to 15 minute hard bike on like a watt bike or air down or something like that, and then some sprinting, like 400s or 10 100s with decent breaks in between. So that's what I recommend from a strength and conditioning aspect. And the three areas I would say from the strength to work on is your explosiveness with your hips. So some kind of squatting or lunging or deadlifting, hip hinge movement, some back, whether you have a pull-up bar or weights to do rows. Your back and lat strength is really important. And then, well, there's 4. Your grip, so working your grip, whether you get grippers or you have a bar to do barbell where you're holding and gripping the barbell and you're curling it up to your wrist, or wrist curls, or any kind of squeezing motion. If you have a medicine ball, squeezing the medicine ball, and then some core stuff, keeping your core really strong. So those are the 4 areas I think from a strength aspect you need to have with wrestling. So, and then just incorporating different things alongside of it. Like I've been doing some yoga exercises to work my stability, flexibility, and just relaxing. That's been
Yeah, a
important.
lot of the trainers are really starting to require yoga with the wrestlers. I know for kind of the flexibility and stuff in the sport.
Well, it's a balance, like if you're doing so much strength training, it's going to tighten up your body, whether you like it or not. So you need to balance it all with flexibility and yoga. And even like if you can't touch your toes, there's a problem, there's a problem. So like you need to be able to get to certain positions in the sport. It's going to really hinder the flow of it. The more I look at wrestling, it is a fight, but you also need to have that art and be able to flow through moves. And if you're really tight, everything's going to be kind of robotical, mechanical, So be able to have that strength when you need it, but also the flexibility, agility when it calls for it as well.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
the other thing I would recommend for conditioning, besides running and biking, is swimming. I did a good amount of swimming, especially coming back from injuries. And that really engages every muscle. And for wrestlers, because usually we have some muscles on us, we kind of sink. So it's intense cardio.
That's fun. So what are some of your future goals? Obviously, the Olympics is in the near future for you, right? That's the sight lines. I know that you do go out and do clinics and stuff, and we'll get into all that so that people can get a hold of you. Is there MMA in the future? Is it wrestling and that's what you're looking to do, or do you get that asked a lot? What are you looking at?
I actually do get asked a good amount about the MMA. And so right now, the focus this coming year is just preparing as much as I can for the Olympic trials and get different tournaments, going to international events every 6 to 8 weeks, and also just getting different partners in the room and traveling a little bit to just get different feels, different coaching, stuff like that. And then I want to see how things go, like MMA is something that's pretty up and up right now with how popular it is. And so I did a good amount of boxing when I was younger. So we could see possibly doing MMA after the Olympics. But right now it's just taking this year as it is.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. So I'm sorry we don't get to see that this year. This virus kind of extended the Olympics to next year. I believe they said. And man, for all these wrestlers, off-season clubs. I know I got to meet you at CFWA last year when you came down and trained in there and kind of helped those kids out getting better during the off season, and that was awesome. And I know the kids' eyes get real big when somebody of your stature comes in there. So it's always good to see what they can become, right? To have somebody like you around them, and obviously the character person that you are too. Anybody you talk to, real good things to say about you. I know one of the old coaches down there at I think his little brother is Elijah over there at Ohio State, and he's hanging in there. Hey, he's made the team, right? He's doing well. He's gotten some good wins this year, so good for him. But so as far as business now, I know that you have clinics that you offer. Tell us about it. How do we get a hold of you? Are you doing virtual stuff right now? What are you looking to do to keep yourself busy other than weight train and wrestle?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have a website called natowrestling.com. And so if anyone wants to go on that, the first page is how can I help you, whether it's coming in, doing a private one-on-one, or doing a regular wrestling clinic for the day, or doing a speaking engagement, or anything other than that I can help with. That's one way. The other way is just reaching me through a social media platform, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or even Facebook. I'll try to respond as well with that. And yeah, just going from there. I would say right now the biggest thing that I've been trying to do is just enjoy this month, read some books for pleasure. I'm actually reading the fifth Harry Potter book right now, Order of the
That's
Phoenix.
awesome.
So I've been doing that. I watched a pretty good movie called Dark Waters a couple days ago. So just watching that, and then I'm studying for a strength certification called CSCS, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. And so that I've been doing about 3 hours a day studying, because it's pretty intensive tests, about 110 questions. But I figured as I get older, it would be good to have a certification, because I feel like I have a great platform, not only to teach wrestling but also strength training, because that was one of my favorite things growing up. When I got into high school, I wanted to be in the weight room almost every day. So people had to tell me this, get out of the weight room because I'm overtraining, you know?
Yeah,
So
I
it's
can
like,
see it. It's starting to happen with my 14-year-old. He just wants to be on the weights now all the time.
exactly. So if I have that, I feel like it'll be just another platform to just teach proper mechanics, teach the how much reps you should be doing and stuff like that, which I have a good baseline around, but I'm definitely learning more as I'm reading it, because a lot of it's just like the science behind and just the anatomy and everything like that. So I've been studying for that right now. I'm gonna probably take that exam in the next month or two. So
Nice.
that's kind of keeping
And you
myself
have
busy.
and you have a great newsletter.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do get your newsletter all the time. You can sign up on the same page, right? And I think
Thank you.
when we're done here, you're going to jump onto the wrestling room and post the information there. And if anybody has any questions, can they post inside that feed, and if you see it, you can answer it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Um, what else, man? What else you want to talk about? What do you want to tell the world about? How has this affected the wrestling world? I mean, tell us.
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing right now is just uh enjoying the small things, you know, like we get a chance
You
to slow
there?
things down. And it's not it's I mean, I don't remember ever being in this state right now where like everyone's in quarantine, and it can feel that we're distant sometimes from people. But I feel like the biggest thing is just reaching out to people through email, through call, through text, see how people are doing, really reconnecting with people, and then just reconnecting with ourselves, you know, just doing some meditation, deep thinking, stuff like that. I think that sometimes gets overlooked. We just get into the grind of go to work. If you have kids, help your kids in the afternoons, and next thing you know, it's time to go to bed. So it's just getting that time. Same thing with getting time with alone time with God, you know, being able to get time in the word and really reflect on your relationship with Christ. I mean, that's what I've been trying to do in the mornings and the evenings, you know. So some of those things I think are important right now as we're all kind of in this state of just kind of where it's tough. You're just kind of sitting around trying to figure out things to do. I think that's kind of big, to just value those little things, and then just be creative in how you approach things. Like I've been watching different TED talks, trying to learn from people's experiences and those. So just I think those are good. Just always trying to expand your knowledge of things. So those are a couple of things I would recommend if you're just bored. Besides just watching Netflix and doing video games, which is fine, but just trying to learn something each week, you know.
Yeah,
So
education is important. You can be the greatest wrestler. You need to be educated as well, right?
exactly. So yeah, you know, we're always learning. That's the thing. I graduated from college 2 years ago, but I'm always trying to be curious and learn from people. And I think the biggest thing is just being open for that, you know, trying to research things, and then just yeah, looking to people that have a good knowledge on things. So I'm glad that you reached out and we can just share some stuff.
Yeah, man. Anytime we can get on into the wrestling room, anytime I I can get questions. We can ask people to reach out. We can get Ricky Marcus, who started the wrestling room. He's got family members. His son is, one of his sons is a coach over at Kaiser.
Oh,
So
sweet.
he's been definitely involved, and I do appreciate him letting us come on and use his platform. I know that to talk to you on my page is one thing, but to talk around wrestlers, I mean, wrestling is your life, is their life, and it's good to somebody as grounded as yourself and makes education important can tell kids you can do both, you know?
Exactly. You know, that's same thing you put into training is the same thing I would put into my schoolwork, you know, like we sometimes get caught up and solely focusing on the wrestling. It's just like the school is as important, getting your degree, figuring out what you want to do in your life, and just people see that work ethic in the room, but they also need to see it in the classroom, you know. So it's like that's what I try to keep in mind. And my parents were always really on me about just valuing the education and to be an example in that sense. So it became kind of natural to really focus on getting good grades and doing the study, getting time to talk with the teacher if I need help with anything. And it just
Yeah.
it goes fast. So just I would say just enjoy it
Enjoy
because I
it,
do.
right?
Yeah,
That's
it's a
awesome.
grind. It's a grind, but it's some days I do miss being back in the college room and being part of the Ohio State team. But right now I'm in a good position to be kind of a mentor for some of the younger guys and just increase just knowledge in the sport and being able to share it to others and figure out next chapter once I'm done competing.
That's awesome. So uh, before we go, let's find out what the best match you were ever in, your favorite match, your, I don't know, the match that sticks into your mind the most.
Yeah, probably the semis of my freshman year in college in the Big Tens. So I was wrestling Jesse Delgado, who was a returning two-time champ at that point, and I had before that I had lost to a couple guys that were in the top five, so I hadn't had a top five win, and I think he was ranked third, and it was just like that match was at Ohio State. It was in Columbus at the Big Tens. It was the first time that they hosted it in 14 years in Columbus, and it was like just having the crowd behind me, and just I ended up getting a takedown and riding him the last 20 seconds to win it 3-2, and it was just like that one was just a really memorable match because I felt like at that moment I really believed I was going to be the champ of the national tournament, and it was just like being able to get that marquee win kind of gave me the mental belief that I can beat anyone in the country, anyone in the world, you know. It's just like
You belong.
that, right? That was a fun match, and so ended up winning the Big Tens that year, the next couple of years, and won the nationals that year. And it just was a good time because it's like it brought the Ohio State wrestling community together, it brought the state together, and just brought my family together as well. So
Yeah, and I mean, you were on the map, but then you were really on the map, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Well, hey man, I mean, we talk to each other via email every once in a while. I'd love to do this again sometimes. Let me know whenever you're free, and we can jump back on. Again, appreciate you, and I know you'll jump into the wrestling room and make sure you put your contact there so people can get in touch with you. And if anybody has any questions for Nato, feel free and ask him. He'll be happy to reach out. Super nice guy. Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Dan.
Yes, sir.